So yes, people, welcome back to another episode of the Ghostoul Podcast. I hope you had a lovely Halloween. I did. I got scared. Anyway, before we start, I'd like to thank everybody for the recent subscribers, all the positive feedback, the comments, the likes. You guys are awesome. That is why we do this. And yeah, on to this week's episode. So this week's guest is a friend of mine who spends his days in search of graves. We have Paul from Unusual Things.
Hello, Mickey.
Hello.
How are you, mate? You all right?
I am all good, mate. Yeah. It's been a long day.
I can imagine. I always like the build-up when you do things like this because you always wonder what people are going to say about you. You know, you sit there cringing, go, "Please don't say anything too embarrassing."
Yeah. No, I hope that was all right.
That's good. Yeah, it's good. Everyone's as weird as it is, so you know.
Yeah, we're all weird, mate. Don't worry about it. So, for the people that may be watching or listening, they don't really know who you are. Could you just give us a little rundown of who you are and what you do? That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, my name's Paul, obviously, like Mickey said. I've been investigating the paranormal for over 20 years now. I must admit, recently, I've probably not done anything for about the last 18 months, 2 years or so, because my path has taken me off in a different direction. But I still have a massive interest in the paranormal. Back in 2008, I used to have a paranormal radio show called Tuning In, which was on a FM radio show. And David Wells, formerly of Most Haunted, used to be our guest astrologist. So he used to do like the stars for people, like Aquarius and Capricorn and all that sort of stuff. And he was
wow.
Friendly. Yeah, he because he used to live in Portsmouth. I think he lives near Southampton now. But yeah, he was good as gold. He came on the show and, you know, he would always do the astrology. And I did some interviews with him and he was such a nice guy as well. And so spot on and so empathic in the way he delivers his messages. So that was great. And we used to go out. David never came with us, but we used to go out investigating different locations and stuff and then record it and put it on the radio, which obviously doesn't have much as an effect really, does it? But you know, but it was good fun at the time. That was 2008. Do you want to know how like I got into the paranormal?
Yes. That was going to be my next question. What sparked your interest and what got you interested in the first place?
Okay, well, when I was a kid, I was about 6 or 7, and I lived in obviously with my parents because they didn't abandon me by then. So I've lived with them, and their house was they never abandoned me anyway. It's a joke, by the way.
I was going to say, ooh,
family episode. No, so they and they used to always say that their house was haunted, and I used to get scared. And the house used to be one of those ones where you go up the stairs, and then on the right there's a bedroom, and on the left there's a bedroom. And basically, I opened my bedroom door one night, and there was an old lady just standing there doing that at me, like a ghost lady. And I don't know if I can swear on it, but I pooed myself. I shit myself, basically.
Wow.
And I hid under my covers all night crying until my mum came and got me the next morning. And that woman she did literally haunt me. Like, it was in my head for years. I could not get that image of that woman out of my head. So I was always scared of the paranormal and ghosts, and I never wanted anything to do with it whatsoever. If anyone mentioned ghosts, I'd run a mile. I'd like, no. When I was about 18, I was in the Air Force, and I was walking back across the barracks one night, and I heard a noise coming from one of the massive air hangars. And it was late at night. There was no one around. And I thought, I've got to go over there and check out what's going on. And I walked around. I thought there'd be people in there messing about and stuff, you know. And I walked in there and there was nothing. I kept hearing these echoes of like aircraft and people chattering and things like that. And I thought, this is bizarre. This isn't right. And then I started thinking, I wonder if that's ghost stuff. You know, I didn't really understand like stone tape theory back then or any of that sort of stuff. So I didn't sort of put 2 and 2 together on that front. But yeah, I just thought, and then it piqued my interest and I just started reading a few more books on the paranormal. Obviously, I left the Air Force when I was about 20. I had injury and came out. But then I sort of started going into reading a little bit more about it and not studying per se, but trying to speak to anyone that had any encounters with ghosts and things like that. And it just sort of grew from there, really. And then obviously at a certain age, when people started doing like the ghost walks and things like, because that's what it used to be in the old days, when a ghost walk, they talk you through the town and they talk you through all the horror stories and stuff. And I used to join those and listen to them and think, wow, this is really interesting. And then it just sort of piqued my interest. And of course, a lot of the TV shows started, and people were out investigating as well. And probably the same as you by then, Mickey. You've probably been doing it a while, and you're thinking, oh, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. You know? But yeah, and it's great, and it obviously, as we know, throughout that time period, like sort of 2005 onwards, commercially it got massive, didn't it? It's such a big thing. But yeah, I was very fortunate enough in 2008 to have a radio show. The radio station that I worked for, because I was a presenter there, I spoke to the bosses. They were a little bit iffy at first, but when I managed to get like David Wells on board and a couple of other people, and we had a good lineup. It took off and it done really well, but sadly, we had a new program controller come in, and he was dead against it. Literally, he was like, "No, I don't want that stuff," and he took it off air. And I was like, "Oh man,
bastard!"
Yeah, asshole. We were getting like international listeners, like on back then, like on the internet stuff, and it was great. You know, people from Australia, America messaging in, the listenerships through the roof, and he just cancelled it. And you thought, "You dickhead, you onto a good thing."
What sort of time was this? Did this broadcast go out?
It was 10 at night till midnight.
Oh wow, good time then.
Yeah, great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was real, and it was once a month on a Friday we saw it. So it was great. It was a real good. You know, we got some local. I don't know. Do you know Mark English, paranormal investigator? Really nice chap. He comes from sort of Wimbledon area, but he come and got involved because he's very knowledgeable as well on and done loads of big investigations. So we got him. I mean, obviously, because I was the radio presenter at the time, I was like the presenter of the show. But we got a medium in. We got obviously David doing the stars and all, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then we got a paranormal investigator. But then we had people like Nick Pope on. You know the guy that done the UFO investigations that worked for the government for a little while.
Yeah.
We had guests like him, you know, that we were interviewing. So it was good in terms of the people we were getting involved. But sadly, it got taken off. Then after that, I started up my own little paranormal group doing investigations, you know, commercial ones. But then I found it too much of a headache because, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I'll pay my deposit next week or I'll pay it on the night, and then you're left out of pocket because these places aren't cheap, are they, to hire?
No, they're very expensive.
Yeah. And so, but then I stopped with that, and I just did a few little bits and pieces on my own or with groups. I just tag along and stuff. But I haven't, like I say, the last thing I did was in Northern Ireland when I was over there visiting my mate last year, and it was an old derelict.
Yes, I saw that on YouTube. Yeah,
Condor House or somewhere like that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something off air about. I can't say it on there because it involves my mate in terms of his background, but I will tell you something off air and you'll be like, wow. But for the listeners, basically or for the viewers, it picked up something really interesting on my mate's personal life which no one else knows, and I was like, wow. And even I didn't know, and I was like, what? I was looking at it and going, what? And he goes, yeah, it's true. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'll tell you off air.
Okay, that's fine. So you're just going on about that. You've been 18 months or whatever without going out, apart from in is it Ireland, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
So what? I don't know if I could go that long. I know, obviously, you've been really busy, and we'll get into that. Did you not miss like the hope of because that's what keeps me going for the next investigation? The hope. Imagine if I catch something. Imagine if this happens. It's like, oh my god, you know. Yeah. Did you miss that?
Massively, and I still do to this day. And it's almost like an addiction, isn't it? Paranormal investigating, you know, because you're sat there, as you know, for hours on end. It's like going fishing. You just get nothing, and then there's a little bit of ripple in the water, and you're hoping that you're going to catch the big fish. You know, it's I massively miss that, and I miss the adrenaline rush of walking around in the dark because you know, anyone that says that they don't get a little bit spooked or a little bit scared are lying, as far as I'm concerned. We all get a little bit spooked because it's what makes us do it even more. I think the adrenaline and the little buzz of, oh, what's that? You know. So yeah, I do. I miss that massively. I really do.
Yeah, the buzz is what keeps me going. To be fair, it is definitely, and like I say, it's like a drug. It's like adrenaline, and a lot of the time you don't get anything.
No.
But it's that you never know what's going to happen the next minute. It's normally when you're not waiting for it, you're not expecting it,
Yeah.
and it's definitely that sparks my interest all the time, because there are times when it's just like, oh really, I can't be asked. I've got to drive for 3 hours. I finish at 3 a.m. I won't get home till 6 in the morning. Then I got to go to bed and I only have 4 hours sleep that day. Because I can never sleep past 10 really. When I get back
I can't.
in.
I'm always up. Yeah, I'm always up early and stuff. So, yeah, no, it's like you say, it's that commitment, isn't it? I know I'm probably not going to get anything whatsoever. But what if tonight's that night? What if I miss out because I don't go? It's like that fear of missing out thing, isn't it? When like people want to go down the pub or whatever, and I've got to go tonight because I might miss out on something. But obviously, from a different perspective of chasing paranormal things.
Yeah. So you mentioned being a bit scared on edge as you're going out and about.
Yeah.
Are you scared of the dark, or are you okay with it?
I'm okay with the dark. I think my problem is my imagination runs tenfold massively.
Yeah.
So in my head, I love. Don't get me wrong, I love horror films and I watch them all the time. But in my head, something's going to jump out of the dark at me. And it's not, for me, it's not the fear of the dark. It's the fear of it's going to make me jump, Yeah. But that's my own imagination. And that just, it goes crazy sometimes. And I'm like, look, nothing like that's going to happen in the real world. If anything, it's a live homeless person or a tramp that might jump out on you and make you bloody jump. And,
Yeah, be more scared of the living than the dead. That's what I always say, especially when you go out to these places, especially public places like woods, forests, abandoned places. Yeah. It is even at some locations that are inside that you've booked and that. Sometimes, depending on where they are, that's also an issue for safety.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially this day and age.
Yeah,
but it's.
And we're walking around usually with expensive equipment as well, so people might think, "Oh, I'll have that." Phones, cameras, everything, aren't we? So
yeah. I was recently in Scotland with Mark from West London Paranormal, and we were under this bridge in Glasgow. And Glasgow's not the safest place. It was about midnight, under this bridge, and once directly under the bridge, you look one way and you've got like a woodland area which you have to walk through to get underneath this bridge. Yeah. And if you look through the other side, it's a big long like path that goes adjacent to like the canal or the river or whatever it is there. And you could see like office buildings, flats, like the old built up areas. And every now and again there's like lampposts and you'd see someone just standing there staring at you.
Oh, no.
And it's like, what are they going to come and rob us? Are they like going to get their mates to come down? Because like I say, we're out there with all this equipment. It's very expensive. Like me and Mark both had loads of stuff with us. But luckily for us, we're all dressed in black. We're not the smallest people, so we're quite big. And we had tripods that could potentially look like weapons, I suppose. I don't know, from a distance. So they didn't actually come past, but there was a few times that night that was like, oh, is this the time? Is this the moment it's gonna go down?
Yeah. Do we need to go home now?
I know. Yeah. But that's just meeting the public, like you say, going out in the public is definitely a scary time sometimes.
Yeah, and like you say, in this day and age there is, because so many people don't sort of value people, they don't value other people so much, and everyone's tooled up. A lot of the kids these days are carrying stuff with them which doesn't even entertain or enter our thoughts, because that's not what we're there for, so it's very, very difficult knowing what to do and making sure that you go to these places and that you have got some sort of security in place.
So are you a believer in the afterlife, the paranormal, whatever you see it as?
Yes, but I believe I'm a massive believer in our energy, our soul.
Yeah.
So my personal belief, because I'm not religious, see, I don't believe in heaven and hell per se. I don't believe, but I believe that our energy is what goes on. I believe every person's individual energy is their essence, and that's what I would call their soul. And you know, I'm a trained hypnotherapist, and I used to do past life regressions with people. And some of that stuff is amazing what they come out with, and then they go away, or you go away and look it up, and you're like, how the hell did they come out with that?
Yeah.
And it's facts, and you're like, whoa, shit. Unless they were literally doing all the research beforehand, paid you to come and do it, and then sat there and lied. But I wouldn't see the point in that. Why would someone pay just to sit there and lie to try and prove a point? I never got it. But yeah, it was bonkers. So that's what I'm a great believer in, that our once our meat suit dies, if you like, that our soul and our energy progresses onto, you know, another sort of plane of some sort.
Yeah.
But then I do believe we get that opportunity to come back. I'm a massive believer in life lessons and reliving things that we haven't solved in the past and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I do believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, for me, it's more a religious thing.
Yeah.
But I would like to have the choice, if that's okay. You know, give me a choice, because I don't want to come back. I want to be just Mickey. That's it. Only one of me.
Just that.
Yeah. I just want to float about and go to different places and annoy people.
That's what guy for that, Mickey.
You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah. No, I'm the same, mate. I'd rather just come back and haunt people for shits and giggles. You know what I mean? It's like, but even when, you know, like you get like psychics and mediums, and they, you know, they're saying that they're speaking to loved ones and all that lot. Even that, it's hard, because some of them I'm a bit, you know, but I've had several readings in the past, and some of them have been so spot on with everything. And all I think they're doing is, I think that they're just talking, or they can just somehow communicate with another energy, which is giving them some sort of information, or they're picking it up from my energy. They're just sort of like tuning into my soul, and my soul's telling them things. You know, it's bizarre. I struggle with the whole sort of mediumship stuff, because I mean, I've joined mediumship platforms before, you know, psychic development groups and things like that. And this is no word of a lie. I sat there, and I used to do tarot reading for people, right? And I sat there doing a tarot reading for this woman. And without being rude, she was quite a large lady. She had her leg in a plaster cast. Wasn't the most sort of hygienic lady there. She sat there, and I gave her a tarot reading. And I was just sort of like, I held her hands just to try and feel it, because, like I say, I'm very empathic. I can really pick up people's moods and things like that.
Yeah.
And I grabbed her hands, and within seconds, I saw a blue like arch over the top of her head. It was as clear as day, as clear as I'm looking at you now. And in it was all these watches and clocks. And I turned around and I thought, what? I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And I turned around to her and I said, excuse me, why am I seeing a blue arch above your head with loads of watches and clocks and things like that? She sat there, she looked at me, she went, I'm a watchmaker and a clock repairer. And my jaw hit the floor, and I was like, well, where did that come from? I knew nothing about this woman, and it just appeared as soon as I held her hands and I looked above her head, boom, clear as day. And I was buzzing. I was like, shit, something does work. Something's real, because I'd never experienced that in my life. And then 2 weeks later, I was at another psychic fair doing tarot for reading, and I had a woman sit down opposite me, and I did the same thing with her, and I saw a white band above her head, but with aeroplanes and gliders and things like that in it. And I said to her, I said, I'm seeing loads of aeroplanes and gliders above you. She goes, yeah, my husband and my dad are both flying instructors in gliders and planes. It's never happened again, Mickey. It's happened those 2 times, and it's never, ever happened again in my life. And I don't get it. I cannot answer it to this day.
That sounds like you're doing psychometry there.
Yeah. It was just mental. But it was so clear, you know. How
did you see them? Were your eyes open looking at them, or was it closed in your head?
My eyes were open. I was sat there looking like I'm looking with you. So I'm holding your hand like that.
And you can see it above me.
I saw a massive, but it was like a big arch. It wasn't like that. It was like a big one. And the first woman, the blue one, had loads of clocks, watches, and everything in it. And then the second one had loads of planes in it. But it was weird that it was 2 different women, but I saw the same thing, the arch.
Yeah. Maybe
You
that's
know?
how it presents itself.
Yeah.
But
Um,
the colours would be interesting to find out what the colours mean.
Yeah, yeah, because the blue was with the clocks and the white was with the planes, and again, it was as clear as day, and I'll never forget it. And I've never experienced it since. I did psychic readings for people afterwards with cards and things like that, and
Yeah.
I never ever experienced that again. And I thought, wow. But
That's
then
crazy.
I started not doing it so much. So because a lot of people that do that sort of thing, it's almost like the gym. They train, don't they? They go and sit in development circles and they're constantly
Yeah.
working at it and things like
Yeah.
that. And I used to do it I did it for about 2.5 years or so. But then the minute you stop, it sort of goes away very quickly. I found it did anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, and like I say, I don't. That was a long time ago. That was probably when I was doing my radio show in 2008. But then I came back into it, and this lot happened about 9 years ago with the airplane and the clocks. That was about
Yeah.
9 years ago. But again, I haven't touched anything since in that area.
Have you ever spoken to anyone about that? Like
I've,
mediums or anything like that that might
yeah,
possibly know?
yeah, because there was some mediums there at the day, and
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was excited. I was buzzing off my tits. I was like, oh wow, what the hell's just happened?
Yeah.
And they just said to me, they said you're just opening yourself so much to that person that it's almost like they're feeding it to you, and you're just reading it. Like you say, it's probably some sort of psychometry. You're reading it from their aura. But it was bananas. I've just never.
Well, you obviously made the connection on an emotional level. If you
Yeah,
say you're empathic, you can probably pick that up a lot stronger than a lot of other people.
yeah, and
And
I'm
maybe that's how it
sorry.
presented itself.
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm in a room with people and there's been some bad news or something sad or whatever, I can feel it, and it really. I have to walk out because I can feel it really. I start
Yeah.
sort of getting not involved with it, but I start picking up on it, and it just tires me out. It just bombs me out really bad. So I have to sort of like get myself out of the room. This is a
Uh,
pub.
yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
So the break you've had in your paranormal investigating was
Yes.
because of your other interest, your YouTube channel, Unusual Things.
Yeah.
Could you just let us know, obviously, what that's about and how
Uh,
that got started, if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course. When I was doing my paranormal stuff, I did put some paranormal work on YouTube, and it didn't go very well. And as you know, it's flooded. The market's flooded on there, isn't it, with paranormal stuff?
Yeah.
And then nothing against them, but you started getting a lot of these explorers incorporating paranormal into their channel, and I thought it was taking a little bit of the edge of paranormal stuff. And I really wanted to give YouTube a go. I really wanted to. I saw these people like being successful at it, and as I said, I'm an ex-radio presenter, so I've got that little bit inside me that likes presenting. I like talking shit, if you like. Do you know what I mean? It's like I just, I just
Yeah.
naturally sit. As you, I haven't stopped, have I? So I was looking around, and I watch a lot of these American channels where they go and visit these graves. I watch, Scott on Tape, the Grim Life Collective. Who's the other one? I can't remember his name. Malfunction. There's so many, and I was watching them all, and I thought, oh, I wonder if there's anyone in the UK doing that. I thought, because I've got an interest in obviously cemeteries. I grew up next to a cemetery when I was a kid. I used to go in there and feed crows and things like that. And I thought, I wonder if anyone's in the UK is doing it. And I looked up, and there was one, and it was called English Graveyard. And I didn't want to watch any of his shows because I thought if I watch his shows, I might end up copying, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to put my own format on it. Subsequently, obviously, I've watched his, and he's completely different. He's not a presenter that gets on camera. He just does all very, very clever, very good cinematography around cemeteries and stuff. But he puts text up across the screen for people to read. Whereas mine was direct to camera, but I couldn't see anyone else in the UK doing it at the time. I could only see the English grave, so I thought, right, I'm going to do it. And I don't live too far away from where Alec Guinness is buried, Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars film.
Yeah.
I thought, what a big name to go and do, first of all. And I watch it back now, and I'm like, oh god, that's cringe, because I was like, rah, 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 rah. But yeah, so I put his out, and it sort of did okay. I sort of got a few views, and I thought, well, this is doing better than what I thought it would. So the next week I went out and filmed Benny Hill because he's buried in Southampton.
Oh, it's not far from you, is it?
No, it's just down the road. So I thought, I'll go and do Benny Hill. And then within Benny Hill's grave cemetery, there's another one who was on the Frederick Fleet, who was on the Titanic. He was the lookout man who
iceberg ahead.
that's him. But he didn't have his binoculars because they locked the bloody cabinet and buggered off. So I put these 3 videos out, and they went whoa, and it escalated really quick. And I thought, shit, I need to get out and make some more pretty damn quick. So I drove to London and filmed about 4 or 5 in one day, and I was banging out 2 a week, boom, boom, boom. And my channel just took off. It went mad. And people seem to have some sort of insatiability for celebrities' graves. And I was like, what? I sort of got it, but then I didn't get it. I was like, what? It's only me walking around a cemetery visiting someone's grave. But a lot of the comments I get is that people like the fact that it's done very respectfully. There's no sort of Mickey taking, or it's done with a lot of respect, and obviously a lot of hard work. Because as you know, and doing what you do as well, you see me up early in the morning, driving off halfway up the country, and I know that you do it late at night. So so I think people respect that as well. They think, oh well, that guy's just going out. Because some YouTube channels, they're very lucky, and they can sit at home, they have no overheads, and they just rocket the numbers in, and you're like, wow, but as you know, us lot that go out and about, it's hard, it's traveling, it's time more than anything.
Petrol.
Petrol, coffee important stuff. So and then it just took off, and I thought, right, I'm onto something here. So I just continued, and I worked so hard at it and I've been going about 2.5 years now, but I worked so hard over 2.5 years to get it to where it is now. But even now, I still can't take my foot off the gas, because as you know, with YouTube, if you don't put a couple of videos out here and there, the viewing figures drop. It plummets very, very quickly, because it's obviously advertiser led, isn't it? So they'll only promote new stuff that you put out. So it just took off. I was very fortunate, as in I hit my 100,000 this year, hence my little plaque up behind somewhere. There it is.
I'm so jealous.
You'll get one, mate. We'll get you there. I want to do a Halloween special with you sometime. I want to do a ghost hunt. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm good for that.
That'd be awesome. So as well as celebrities' graves, obviously you're going to run out of those after a while, because people get cremated and so forth. So I looked into like true crime, victims of crime. So I've been to, sadly, so many children's graves who are victims of crime, and I always make sure I take flowers for them, because it's respectful. It's respectful to go to anyone's grave, but especially kids and victims of crime, I always put flowers down on their ones, just out of an element of respect. And the one thing that I find is very important is a lot of these documentaries that are made on murders and perpetrators, they focus on the killer 9 times out of 10, and I try and focus on the victim. I try and get as much info as I can on the victim. It's very difficult if they're young and they haven't had much of a life, etc. But I just try to tell their story as best as I can and give them a bit of dignity, and I think that's what the viewers like. They like the fact that I don't harp on about like the Moors murders. When I did that, Hindley and Brady got a little bit of a mention, and then that's it. It's all about the kids after that. It's all about the respect for them. And the same with the other ones, really. So I think people really like that element to it that I'm not bigging up, because a lot of these mainstream telly programs, they big up these murderers and things like that, and I think it's wrong. They shouldn't do that sort of stuff.
That's because it grabs the headlines, doesn't it? That's what it is. Sadly. So how do you go about finding where the celebrities' graves are?
There's a website called Find a Grave. Now, I don't know who these people are, right? They're amazing, but they just go around and they put it on this Find a Grave. They are, without them, I couldn't do it. There's no way I'd know where all these people were buried. So, there's a website called Find a Grave. Anyone can obviously go on there and have a look. And you type in like a war hero or celebrity, and pretty much they're on there. And if they're not, if they're not in the if they're not on the Find a Grave website, what I do is I go to Google and I type in their funeral. So if they're celebrity, I go, I don't know, like Rick Parfitt from Status Quo. Rick Parfitt's funeral. 9 times out of 10, there's the media are there because he was such a big star, you know. So you can sort of get an idea of where, North London, blah blah blah, this area, and then you look out for on the news clippings of the church name, and so there's a little bit of due diligence in trying to find things. But so 9 times out of 10, it's on Find a Grave.
Have you ever been excited where you're going to a certain person's grave and you're like, oh, this is the big one for me? Have you ever had any experiences like that as you go into them?
Yeah, for me it was George Michael's. I'm a big George Michael fan. People won't believe it, but I am. I grew up in the 80s, right? So and he was probably one of the earliest ones I did as well. So going to his, for me, was a massive. It was sad, but it was a massive thing. Just being there, like, obviously because his mum's there and his sister's buried next to him as well, and it's such sad sort of. And I don't know if it's true, I heard that his father died 2 days ago or something like that. I don't know whether that's legit or not, but so I that one, and there's probably 2 others. The other one that you're gonna laugh at is Rod Hole and Emu. Do you remember Emu? Ginger bloke. Yeah. I don't know why. I was really excited to go to his because as a kid I used to always watch him on TV.
Exactly, yeah.
So
didn't he fall off a roof or a ladder or something?
So he died. He was up. I'm laughing. He was up fixing his.
We're not
aerial.
laughing.
No, we're not laughing. But it's comical in the way of who he was, because his whole show was piss arsing around, like biting people's asses with this emu and stuff. It was mad. His, and also Robin Gibb, of course, and the Bee Gees. So I used to love the Bee Gees. Right now. So going to his as well, and I was also in a musical once where I played Barry. No, who did I play? No, I played Robin. But his name is Robbie in the show that I was in.
Robbie Gibb.
So I was going to see the grave of the guy who I played in a musical in 2018. I think it was. Yeah. So that but that was a little bit of closeness, a little bit of connection for me as well. But it's weird because you go to some of these and you look at them and you think, wow, they're in such crap state, But then what you got to remember is life goes on, doesn't it? Sadly, people's families move on or they die, or and there's no one else to come and look after these graves. I just had a lovely message this week from Roy Hudd's wife, because I don't know. Do you remember Roy Hudd? He was a comedian. He was an actor as well, but he
I remember the name. Yeah.
He was in Coronation Street, I think, a few years before he died. He played I don't watch soaps, but I think he played an Undertaker in it. And he's literally, I know how ironic. His house backs onto the churchyard where he's buried. And of course, I'm filming it at the time. I didn't realise that. And there's a dog coming out and I'm going, oh, shut up, dog. And Roy's wife messaged me and said, if I'd known you were coming up to film my husband, I'd have kept the dog indoors because that's our dog. And I was like, oh, shit.
Wow, you could have interviewed her as well at the same time.
I know, and she's been so kind. She's messaged me recently, and because they've had when I went there wasn't a headstone because they were, excuse me, they were waiting to see what to write on there. They didn't know what words to put on there. But they've done it now, and it looks beautiful. And she sent me a picture, but it's a long way. It's like a 4-hour drive away from me. But she said, if you're ever in the area, come and see me, and it'd be nice to set stuff. Well, it's lovely,
That's good. Have you ever had any graves that you wanted to go find, but obviously they for whatever reason it wasn't available to see? Any failures in your journeys?
There's 2. When I went to Highgate Cemetery, I wanted to see Bob Hoskins' grave because he's a great actor, and he's in a private part of Highgate, which I didn't realise that there was such a thing as like another little private part on there. But I spoke to a member of staff, and whether or not because he saw me with a camera, I don't know, he might have just thought, no, I don't want you around there, mate. But he was like, no. But then I've seen other vloggers that have gone in there subsequently, and they filmed Bob Hoskins' grave, and I'm like, oh, shit, I wanted to do that one. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Bit of that, isn't it? Very old bunts. It's that's one. And the other one is, I can't remember this guy's name now, but yeah, you probably know. My favourite TV show is Supernatural because I always go on about it.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a guy that directed 3 episodes from the first series, and he was a British guy, and he died and got repatriated back to the UK and buried. And I drove
Okay.
3.5 hours to go and find this Director of Supernatural's grave, and it wasn't there. And I don't know where it was. I was like, oh shit, just driven all this way, you know. So when that happens, I go into emergency mode and I get out, find a grave, and I look in the other areas to see if there's anyone else I can go and film, and then just do a voiceover afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, Brian's in that cemetery. I'll go see Brian today. Yeah, Brian was really good.
Yeah, Brian was amazing. Loving that.
Awesome bloke, yeah. So while obviously you go around, what sort of time do you get to the cemeteries, if possible, anyway? Ideally.
I try and get there as early as I can.
Okay.
Usually as soon as the gates are open. The good thing about cemeteries is because they're council run, a lot of them, they say on the gate, open at 8 o'clock. But usually the parkie opens them up about 7:15 or something because he's got so many to do.
Yeah.
So he gets around, opens them up. And I'm like a ninja. I'm sat outside of my car and I'm like hiding, waiting for them to go. And then as soon as they go, I fly straight in there.
Yeah.
And then I walk around, do my bit to camera, and then try and find the grave, and then do my bits. And then I try and get out as quick as... The reason being as well, the most important part is you don't know if there's going to be any funerals in there that day. So, the last thing I ever want to do is walk around with a camera when I wouldn't do it. But if there was a funeral on, I'd wait until it finished or something. That's happened to me before, but I'd wait until it's finished, or, because most of them don't start till about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So you can get a good hour in there before any services start and things like that. So that's why I try and get there so early, really.
Yeah. The reason I was asking that is because I just wondered, when it's empty and quiet, have you ever had any paranormal activity while walking around trying to film? Any, like, corner of your eye, there's someone there, but then you look and it's not, or any voices or anything?
Yeah, I've not caught, surprisingly enough, I've never caught any, like, EVPs on and I always thought I would. I thought, I thought at some point I'm going to catch an EVP. But I say that, but then I put my videos out, and the viewers will contact me and say, Paul, did you hear a voice then? And then I go back and go, oh yeah, and I can't explain it. I'm like, well, I don't know, because I don't recall seeing anyone at that time. Bishop's Abbey I did recently in Hampshire.
Oh, that's a good place.
I kept catching things at the corner of my eye there, but it was pure daylight. It was bright. It was a bright sunny day, and I just kept catching things, And I was like, couldn't explain it, but I personally have never sort of seen any apparitions and I'm in these places, as early as I can be in the morning usually, especially at this time of year. It's dark. I saw a homeless guy in last year. I was doing a grave, and he was just on the bench, and it was like January, and it was so cold, and I looked, I thought, oh God, is he dead? And I had a torch. It was pitch black. I know, and you all right? Over your eyelids, mate. It's tough. But afterwards I went and bought him a coffee and and he was so grateful. And I thought,
that's nice.
Been sat there freezing his arse off all night, and he just like had his jackets on, and I was cold walking around. You know what I mean? So God knows what he must have been like on the bloody bench. But yeah, that was Tony Hancock, the comedian from the 60s or 70s. That was his grave I went to see. But yeah, I felt sorry for this lad, but I do see some strange people in the cemeteries early in the morning. I just try and avoid them. Yeah,
I get that.
Make sure it's not a zombie first,
yeah,
and then carry on about your business.
Yeah, we get our regulars at the cemetery where I work. It's the same ones every day at the same time.
Oh yeah, I forgot you do grave digging now.
Yeah, I work in the cemetery. Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes, awesome, man. Awesome. So peaceful.
Yeah, that's what I would like about that, I think.
Yeah, you get in the morning, everything, like you say, it's dark at the moment, and everything's fresh, and it's just silence, and it's like, wow.
And I bet it's nice when the fog rises in the mist.
Yes, and all the cobwebs are covered. You can see the cobwebs because they're all frosted over or fogged over. Yeah.
Awesome. Great
so,
start.
Is there any graves that you potentially would have gone to, but you haven't because of the story attached to them? Is there any that you thought, man, I can't do that one?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I did get asked. I know it's not there anymore because they've taken the headstone down, but I randomly get asked to go and see Jimmy Savile's a lot. I mean, what on earth you can say about that clown? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, I can see that he is a public interest, whether you like him or you don't like him, for whatever he's done. it's still, you would still get the viewership
yeah.
for that video. Unfortunately, obviously positive for yourself, but for the story and the people affected by him would obviously not be. But yeah, that is. So what? Can't you go to that, or is it not possible?
They've taken the headstone down now, so there's no sort of. I mean, if you go on, you can go online and find out where it was, because I think he's flat. The start of a cold coming. His flat used to overlook it or something, so it'd be quite easy to find. But it's just a case of the respect element from my point of view, and I'm like, it's one of those, because obviously he's gone, and I don't know too much about his victims. And because his victims are alive, so to speak, I'm not paying them the respect by visiting their graves. I'm just going to his. But then you can imagine the sort of the follow-up, can't you? Why didn't you piss on his grave? Do you know what I mean? It's like people say that sort of stuff, aren't they? Or and the only other ones I wouldn't do is when I was out in Northern Ireland, I wouldn't do any related to the Troubles on both sides. Not for one reason or the other, but it's just too much of a big can of worms. If you go and see one, then you've got to go and see the other. And if you say the wrong thing about someone, that's an area I don't want to move into, So, because people kept sending me, why you're out there? Why don't you go and see this person or that person? And you're like, nah, I'm not touching that with a barge pole, mate. A, I don't know enough about it, and I wouldn't want to. And B, you're going to upset one camp one way or the other. So that's an area that I would definitely avoid altogether.
Is there any cemeteries that are on your list that you want to go to just because it's a cemetery, whether it's got famous people in there or not? Like Greyfriars in Scotland, or Glasnevin in Dublin.
Yeah, well, Greyfriars is the one that I want to go to.
Yeah.
I was due to go up to Edinburgh in December. Actually, I was going to go up there, but I've had to cancel it. But I will get to, I will go up there at some point, and I've got a week off, so I was going to fly up there, but there was a lot of human and iron. But I might take a long drive up there. I got a week off, so I might take a drive, stop at some graves on the way, do them, and then finally get to Edinburgh. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure there would be some famous, maybe not so well-known people in Greyfriars because of the age of them. The fact that the headstones are like the size of a house. Some of them are that big.
It's mad, isn't it? Have you been there?
I have been there a few times. Yeah, wow. It's absolutely massive. But Glasnevin in Dublin, 2 million bodies in that. It is so. I was shocked how big it was. I thought, how the hell can you get 2 million bodies in there? And they are.
The walk around.
It's like miles across.
Wow.
It is ginormous.
Is it scary?
Not so much. No, I wouldn't say it's scary. Greyfriars is scary just for the fact the headstones, what they look like. The ones in Dublin are a bit different, but they have like little houses, some of them, and it's like wow, it's amazing. And they've got like crypts that will go round, family tombs that you walk down, and it's like a big circle, like in a pit sort of thing. And they've all got their names above the door and the numbers, and some of them you can actually look through.
A little spy hole sort of thing. Yeah,
and you can see, like, if you catch it at the right light, you can see like coffins and stuff in the tombs, and absolutely amazing. So if you could get to Dublin, go to Glasnevin.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I will do actually.
Awesome.
There was when I went to Northern Ireland. Just put my headphones out. When I went to Northern Ireland, I met one of my viewers, and she comes from Southern Ireland, and she very kindly offered me, like, she's got a house there. She goes, "You're more than welcome to stay." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I might do that because that way I can sort of use it as a base and get around a little bit of Southern Ireland, because there's loads over there that I want to see anyway. You've got people like Oliver Reed over there, Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, what's her name, Dolores from the Cranberries, and Sinead O'Connor. There's so many sort of good names out in Northern Ireland as well. Southern Ireland, sorry, Republic of Ireland, I mean.
Yeah, both of them, yeah. Yeah, the good old days, Republic of Ireland,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
It's just Ireland now.
just Ireland, is it? I don't know. I get confused.
I think so. I'm gonna get in trouble now.
I know. I apologise if I've upset anyone by saying the wrong thing. Let's just say Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, because that's probably a bit easier.
Clarify it.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had any trouble while filming? Like trying to be kicked out, or what are you doing in here? Why you got a camera?
Yeah, in South Manchester Cemetery, we were filming the Moors Murders kids.
Okay.
And we there was one of them that's really she had to be moved. They had to move her burial plot because people were going in there and having these little seances and all that sort of stuff. So they moved her. So I was in there with my mate Lee, and now my mate Lee's got his own channel called The Aqua Adventure, and he does a little bit behind the scenes for me now and again. He helps me out. So he flew over to the UK because he wanted to see all the Moors Murders ones, and he wanted to be involved in it. So I said, "Yeah, come over." So he came over, and we worked on it together. And we were walking around South Manchester Airport, South Manchester Cemetery. I remember it's absolutely chucking it down with rain, and this bloke came up. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just looking for some bits and pieces, mate." He goes, "You're not filming, are you?" I went, "It's a public area. It don't matter, does it? I'm just going to film." He goes, "Oh, I don't really want you filming in here." So I just walked off. I was like, "Fuck off, yeah." I didn't say anything. I just walked off on my own. Yeah. And then, luckily enough, I found the grave that I was after. So I did my bit, blah, 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 blah. Come back, and then, because Lee and I had split up, and my glass is wonky. We split up because he was looking for it, and I was looking for it because it was such a big cemetery. And by the time we came back and met up, I'd already filmed it, and I got it in the bag, so we were about to leave anyway. And with that, 3 council workers turn up. "What are you doing? Are you filming?" Was it? I can't remember the girl's name now. It's one of the victims anyway, the Moors Murders. Yeah. "Are you filming hers grave?" And I went, "What if I am?" "No, you can't do that. We moved it. And I went, "Yeah, but I'm not going to give away the location. Everyone knows it's in this cemetery because it's all over the internet." I said, "You can see it's all over the internet." And I went, "There's also pictures of it on the internet. So someone's already put it out there." I said, "How do you think I've just found it?" Delete that. I said, "No, I'm not deleting my camera." He said, "We're calling the police." I said, "Call the police. I'm leaving, mate." And I just walked out the cemetery. I was like, that's that, and one other one was in London. I can't remember the name of the bloody cemetery now. But this bloke come over, and I was filming some reggae star's grave, and I'd literally filmed 2, and it was the last one I was filming. And he'd come over, and he's only a young lad, and he's kicking off. "You can't film in here. You can't. Who do I need to speak to? You need permission. Who from? So and so in the office. We're going to get so and so in the office in." "No, you go and get him." "Oh, I can't be arsed at this now." Too much aggro. So as I was walking out the cemetery, I saw the grave, and I'm sort of like trying to film it like that. But then I just would put some pictures up on the video. But yeah, to be fair, that's only twice, and I've got over like 300 videos up. So
wow,
I've been lucky, and not have too many sort of things.
That's a lot of time and effort.
Yeah,
goes into that.
And people think you're a multi-millionaire when you work on YouTube, and as you know, Mickey, we're not, are we? The money's crap.
You are technically a YouTuber though. People normally leave their job when they hit your mark. So
I wish I could, mate. If I could, the thing is, because I've obviously, I've got a mortgage, I live on my own. So if I had that little bit of safety net, I'd risk it. But it's just there's just something inside me holding me back at the moment.
I think what it is, possibility of the content.
Yeah.
If you were for a start, if you were female, no, not being sexist, if you were female, you could get like brand deals with makeup company, perfume, household stuff. Not being sexist or anything, but it tends to go towards that. You could do that. You could get sponsors from other those sort of places, and that would just add to your money. They'd do brand deals with you so that you could promote them in your videos as well, like family vlog stuff. For us, our market is very niche, isn't it? It's very small, as it were. As big as the paranormal on that is, and it's massive, the views it gets, as a whole, and the general public, it is very small when it's like, "Oh, ghost, really?" Or "Graves, what's the matter with you?"
Everyone thinks you're weird or you've got something wrong with you, don't they? Like, "Been around there for you, weirdo, you freak." And you're like, "Actually, that's pretty more normal than you."
Yeah, exactly. Do you know how many people watch my videos?
Yeah, but yours are good. I've never understood why yours hasn't. It should do. Yours is a great channel. I love your channel.
Thank you. I did try my best. Mickey York, go find it.
Yeah, go and find. If any of my viewers watch this video on Mickey's channel, go and watch Mickey York. He does some great paranormal investigations. He's been on mainstream TV before, haven't you, Mickey?
Yeah, I used to be on TV. Yeah.
Who was the bloke that got thrown out? Was it a comedian for pissing about or something?
Justin Morehouse. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And to be fair, I'd never heard of him before, and I've never heard of him since. So.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So I don't care.
Yeah, thanks, Justin, you dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you worked with Christina Bleakley, didn't you?
Christina Lampard, yeah. She started off, changed her name.
Bleakley, was that her first name?
Yeah, I think so.
You lucky boy.
She was really nice, really down to earth. We used to have coffee with her and that, and lunch and stuff before. So
I'd love to have coffee with Christine Lampard.
Don't tell Frank.
No, you're too footy of me, really. Bless him.
Yeah, good times back in the day. But you have these opportunities, and then they go again as quick as they arrive.
Well, that's what sort of scares me about going full time with my YouTube channel, because you've worked in media before, TV. I've worked in media before, radio, and I know how quick it can go. It can disappear from you as quick as it comes, And unless you're very, very lucky and very, very fortunate in the right place at the right time, opportunities are so scarce, aren't they?
Yeah. To be fair, going on to my story, I was on Channel W, and we did a Celebrity Haunted Hotel, and it was on for 5 nights live.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, and then
I watched every single one of them.
Yeah, and then in the afternoon, I think about 5-6 o'clock, they would do another live show, a small show for about half an hour, discussing with different celebrity guests and that what happened the night before on the live. So we were on technically 9 episodes of live TV, and I thought, wow, this is like a national TV channel. I'll come back and I'll be getting more of these. And I basically did nothing for about a year after that. As foolish and naive as I was, I thought offers would come in, there'd be more stuff. He's been on TV, did live telly and all that.
Yeah.
Nothing. We were doing less than we were before the TV.
That's mad, isn't it?
And it's like really strange. You never know what to expect, and I've learned that, and it's a lesson that it humbled me so quickly.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly. It's that's why I won't, because I get friends say to me, surely you must be able to go full time with YouTube now, and I'm like, I'm not risking it yet.
No,
because I'm not big enough. I'm not, and like you say, I at the start I used to have sponsorship deals come in. I used to do, because I usually wear lots of rings and stuff, I had Gothic rings. They paid me, and I had some company that sold like bits of land to people. They sponsored me as well, and I was getting okay-ish money from them, but to give them a 30-second advert. But for some reason, it's all stopped now, and I don't know. But that goes to show how easy it can be to start and stop this sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I never take things for granted, especially in sort of media work and that sort of stuff. So I have got another idea for another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'll tell you off air, but I won't.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, here we go.
No, I can't, because again, I've looked into it and I can't really see it that's been done in the UK, and I'm like, there's nothing to do with the paranormal or this sort of work. It's completely off the beaten track, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't forget.
Yeah. No, I won't. When we finish, I'll tell you. But people will see it. If I'm hoping to launch it in January. I just need to get some film for it. I need to make some episodes for it, and then I can release it, and hopefully that will run with my unusual things, as in I can do them both at the same time. I'll explain to you, and it makes sense. You'll understand what I mean.
Oh, everybody's watching is very intrigued now.
If when it comes to January and I'm on Unusual Things waffling on about my other channel, you'll know what it is. It's only a couple of months away. It won't be too long.
Yeah.
Need to get some film in the bag because I haven't got any yet, and I'm going to start this weekend hopefully. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sounds good, mate. So obviously we've discussed about going out early in the morning, stacking up with coffee, driving long hours, using all your petrol up. What's the longest trip you've ever done to film a video?
What, in one day or just in general? Would you say like a there and back day?
If you want to, or just the journey there, I suppose. Because obviously if you want to say where you live, it's up to you.
I live in Portsmouth. Yeah, I live in Portsmouth.
Yeah. So you're right at the bottom.
Yeah,
basically.
Just north of the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
So we're I'm slap bang in the bottom centre of England.
Or Pompey.
So you're an Arsenal supporter, are you?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that picture of Thierry Henry where he wore one of our shirts? And he went, "The best fans ever." Right.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, down here, and he because he loved the atmosphere, and the Pompey fans. Sorry, everyone, we're just going off track. The Pompey fans were cheering him on, even though he was playing for Arsenal. And at the end, he put an Arsenal top on, and he was walking around like kissing the badge and all that sort of stuff. Was that Pompey top on? Sorry for Arsenal. So the pictures everywhere. Thierry Henry with Pompey top on.
He was the best in the Premier League ever. So
legend, yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of driving,
or distance, whichever is
probably North Yorkshire. Probably the Moors Murders ones, Manchester.
Yeah, from you.
From me, yeah.
What's that? 5-6 hours?
Yeah, it's about 5
Yeah.
That's not too bad, but still a long day, you know.
But that is bad. You got to come back.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that. But I did play it smart. I incorporated it all with a Comic Con that I was going to in Liverpool. So I went and done it all, and then went to a Comic Con in Liverpool, and then drove back the next day with a hangover from the after show party.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I was a bit ropey.
So obviously you've been on my other podcast, Dads, Lads and Babs.
Yeah.
That's an over 18 podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you like that sort of thing, it's all fun.
Yeah. You got to go and listen to that.
But we just on that show that you were on with us, I said that one of my favourite episodes was the Mick Philpott video that you did. That the gentleman, or if you can call him that, who set his house on fire to get insurance money and unfortunately killed, was it 5 of his children?
6
of his children.
Yeah.
It all went wrong, didn't it? And that, because I remember that story from being in the press and the newspapers on TV. And when you put that video up, I thought, well, I have to watch this because I know the story.
Yeah.
And do you get that a lot? Like people sending you messages saying, "Oh, I really had a connection with this episode that you've done. This certain person."
Yeah, I did with that one in particular because what I tend to find is that I get people that live in the area that experienced what the neighbourhood went through, what the community went through.
Yeah.
Because not only does it obviously affect the poor children that have lost their lives. B, there's the outer family, the ones that aren't necessarily like Mick Philpott and all that lot, but the outer family with cousins, nans and granddads and so forth. But then you've got the community, the people that live in that area that used to see those kids day in, day out, walking around and going to school and things like that. And it affects those people as well. And it's only when I started doing this that I realised how much something like that does have an impact on the local neighbourhood and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I tend to get a lot of neighbours that live in that area, and I did with the Ian Huntley, the Soham murders, the 2 girls. Holworth, I think it was called. I can't remember what it's called now off the top of my head. But yeah, I got a lot of people that were in the neighbourhood that sort of saw those girls all the time playing and things like that contact me. I've had people regarding the Moors murders. Oh, I grew up, I was 6 or 7 years old. My mum wouldn't let me out to play, and watching your video made me realise how dangerous these people were. So, yeah, I do get a lot of people contact me and say that sort of stuff. And I try to answer as many viewers as I can. It's, as you know, it's difficult because there's lots of social media platforms and they're all coming in. But I try to answer, especially people that write things like that. I try to answer them as best as I can because they want to feel that they're acknowledged, and I want to
Mm.
sort of thank them for watching my videos as well. So it's very important, I think, to acknowledge their response to your video, to your work, but
Yeah.
also from my own personal point of view. I feel it's like it's almost like a bit of recognition for my works. It's almost like a little bit of thank you, which feels nice for me. From a sort of, I don't know if you want to call it filmmaking, documentary, whatever. But from
Yeah.
that vlogger, from that point of view, it makes me feel what I'm doing is worthwhile as well, and not just going to waste. And I'm not just putting them out there willy nilly. I'm just a lot, as you know, a lot of sort of thought, time, and effort goes into this sort of work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
everything that you do, it's got to be pre-planned. Um, and another one as well was I don't know if you've seen it, the Friday the 13th killings, where the guy,
No.
oh man, that's awful. He was a friend of the family. I'm terrible with names, so I can't remember his name, but basically, him he moved in with his mate and his mate's wife, and his mate's wife was at work. His mate went to pick him up, and he was drunk, and he killed all three kids in the house, hung them on spikes at the back, chopped them up with. Oh man, if you haven't seen that
Whoa.
video, it's called the Friday the 13th killings. I filmed it about a year ago now. I think it was in sort of Midlands area. It
Oh my
was.
God. That's where
He
I
did it.
live.
Is it? Yeah, shit. He's released as well. They released him last year. Killed
Wow.
three kids. Awful, mate. But
Evil man.
it's a good story to watch if you're interested in sort of true crime sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Crime is massive at the moment.
yeah. So it's definitely,
Yeah.
like I say, I can't remember, but it's just, I think I just called it the Friday the 13th killings or something like that. But it's
Okay. I'll have a
obviously
look.
it happened on Friday the 13th. That's why. What was that? Yeah, sad, very very sad story. But yeah, I do tend to get people from these sort of local areas or families or whatever get in contact and say nice things, which is it's just always good. It makes it worthwhile doing it. Then.
Yeah. Do you ever think that if the possibility of actually going to see them and doing like a follow-up interview, that
Um,
could be an option,
yeah,
maybe?
it could be. It's not anything I've done per se. The only one I've done that on was the road rage killing recently, the M25, and Stephen, his auntie, or his cousin, sorry, Dee Dee, she got in contact with me because she watched my channel and she said, "Oh, would you do one on Stephen? You think because he got murdered by Kenneth Noy on the M25
Oh,
in 1993, I think it was." And and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to film his at some point anyway." And she said, "I'd love to come on as a relative and talk about Stephen." And I was like, "Wow." So that was the first time I've ever had the opportunity to interview a family member of a relative
yeah, yeah.
whose grave I'm going to see. And then her and I went and tended to Stephen's grave. We tidied it up, we put some flowers down and stuff, and it was emotional. And it was emotional for me to see what impact it has on a viewer's, sorry, person who's passed away, their relative, to actually see
Oh,
them there tending to the grave whilst
yeah.
after you've just interviewed them is heartbreaking. It really is. And that made me realize that I'm still giving these people, the victims of crime, a voice. I'm still allowing them to be heard and their story to
Their
be told.
story,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I think that's so important. That's why I said at the start, I don't talk about the perpetrator and things like that because it's not
No.
about them. It's about the victim.
Yeah, you've just sort of mentioned it there. Do you ever get emotional when you're walking around knowing about a certain story or case and you think, oh, this is going to be difficult?
Yeah,
Like you know what this person went through,
yeah,
and it's like, hold it
yeah.
together.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the one you just mentioned, the
Yeah, yeah.
Philpott kids. I literally finished filming that, and it was piddling down with rain, and I just sat on the grass, and I had a little cry to myself because it was heartbreaking. And you're thinking,
Mm.
Jesus Christ, how can someone be so empty? A, to do it to children, but B, to do it to your own children. Who, just for the sake of an insurance job to try and get a bigger house and more money, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't register, does it? I mean, I'm not a parent, but my empathy as a human just says no. That's just wrong on every level. So yeah, it's
Sick people.
yeah, very very sick people.
So, what is your bucket list location grave? If you could go and do it, where would you go?
Oh, it's number one. It always has been. It's Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. So Seattle in Northwest America, where the old
Yeah,
grunge scene was, Kurt Cobain and all that lot. Yeah, it's Brandon Lee's. I'm a massive fan of the film The Crow. Got the crow. I got crows tattooed all over me, I tell you. So, and yeah, that again, like when you said earlier on about do graves resonate with people, that film just resonates with me so much. I don't know why.
yeah,
I find it really engaging. I know it's a bit weird, but I always, as soon as I saw it, I was like hooked. I was like, wow. And I was just fascinated. And I like Brandon Lee, of course, and he'd done a few other films before that. But yeah, so his is the ultimate for me. So get out to America, go and see. Of course, you know, you've got his dad next to him, Bruce Lee, and a legend
yeah.
in
I've
his own
seen it.
right.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that yeah, and apparently Jimi Hendrix is in the same cemetery, so you can't go wrong there, can you? You know. Um, Whether he is or not, I don't know, but that's what I got told the other day. So I thought, wow, if I'm going to see Bruce and Brandon, I can't miss up doing Jimi Hendrix. It's great. So yeah, Brandon Lee for me is my ultimate.
well, that's all right then. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get back to more of the paranormal side, if you don't mind, to finish up.
No.
Do you have a pre-investigation ritual that you would have to do? Say you're going out next Saturday for a ghost hunt.
Yeah.
Is there something that you think, well, I have to do this before I go out because it's like gets you in the mood? This is what I do.
Yeah. Obviously, when I'm charging my equipment up and getting
Yeah.
you know, when I'm getting my bag ready, so to speak,
Yeah,
I'll just put on a bit of lively music, you know. I just put on a bit of like rock or dance, whatever mood I'm in, and just sort of start firing my brain up a little bit because I love music, so
yeah,
music's a big motivator for me. So if I
yeah,
put on a good bit of music that I like, bit of dance, bit of rock, or whatever I'm in the mood for, and I'm packing my bag up, then I'm getting myself in that little zone, you know. In terms of any sort of rituals per se, when I get to a site, the first thing I always do in my head is say, right, let's have a good one. Let's just go for it. You know, don't allow yourself to be scared by anything tonight. Get yourself in there, throw yourself in,
yeah.
and just to fire myself up a little bit. You know, which is all good stuff. But yeah, I don't have any real sort of hardcore rituals, but
No, no.
those are probably my little things that I do beforehand.
Beforehand, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you a gadget man or are you a personal like investigator? Is it just I only need myself, my own senses, or do
Yeah.
you use equipment or both?
I'm a bit of both.
Yeah,
I like to experience things, so I like to try and because as you know, with gadgets and equipment or whatever, they can give off any sort of frequency, and we can pick up on certain things from them. I'm sure we can, you know, to a certain level. But I go through stages where I'll investigate and I'll try different gadgets, and then I'll just put it all away or just turn it off, and then just try and absorb and just feel.
yeah,
Because usually, again, you know, that's when you're not expecting something. That's when something tends to happen, isn't it? I mean, my favourite form of evidence, if you like, is always EVPs or DVPs. You know, if you hear something direct, it's
yeah.
because you can't really. I can never explain EVPs. I just can't get my head around it. How can you be in a room where there's nothing there talking, and then you play back a cassette recorder or a digital recorder, and you get someone telling you your name or saying something random or something related to what you're doing? How does that shit work?
It's all about the frequencies, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
fact that they say that spirits speak on a frequency that we can't hear with our own ears, but our digital equipment,
Yeah,
cameras, microphones, they can capture them.
but that's where I believe in, like my theory, like I said earlier on about us being energies, is that when
Yeah,
we pass over, our energy is just completely on the spiritual frequency. You know, it's on that higher level. It's that, you know,
yeah,
um, but it's the same. I'll tell you, it's the same with hypnotherapy. When you do like people's, when you get them into a relaxed state of mind, you know, you go for the brain waves. So you're in the beta state, which is what we are now, and then you take them down to like an alpha sort of state or a theta state.
oh wow, didn't know that.
So you're constantly, when you're talking, you know, you hear hypnotherapists going, and when you hear my voice, you'll start to
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
relaxed. what they're doing is they sleep, son of a bitch. What they're doing is they're just slowing your brain waves down. So they're trying to get it to. It's almost like you're trying to bore the conscious mind. So it's like, think of a color. Now walk over the bridge. It's almost like a meditation as well. And what you're doing is slowing the frequency of the brain wave down, so that then you can work with the unconscious mind, and it makes it easier to help people make changes through a relaxed state of mind. Because if it's fired up and it's busy and it's like that on the go, you're not going to change anything. Whereas if you get it into a lower state, then that's how you can make changes with suggestions and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh wow.
A lot of it is them working with you as well. They have to want the change.
Yeah, it's got to go both ways.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously you say that your best evidence is EVPs. Is there any particular place or any particular evidence apart from EVPs that you think, wow, that you've experienced?
No, I say this. My ex-wife and I were down. Have you ever been to Port Widley in Portsmouth on the hill?
Maybe. I used to deliver down there in my van.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It's that's a great place. I know it's been done literally to death, but it's such a great place. My ex-wife and I turned our torches off, and we saw the silhouette of what looked like a Viking. This thing was like 6'4" with this very big horns on his head like that, and it looked like it had this sort of like, I don't know what the correct terminology is, but like a Viking skirt sort of thing, like like a kilt or something like that.
Wow.
And we both saw it at the same time, because we both went, "Did you see that?" And we went, "Yeah." We went and wrote down what we saw, and we were like,
"Oh, that's very good. That's very good, writing it down."
Yeah, because we didn't. Because I said to her, "Don't say," because So we wrote down what we saw, and then we showed each other, and we were like, "Holy shit!" And we both saw exactly 6 foot thing monster, well, not monster, but horns on its head.
Yeah.
And that, and actual hearing footsteps in there. We was all in the seance. We was all in like a big, it wasn't a seance as such. We was all holding hands. There was about 20 people in there, all the customers,
Yeah.
Holding hands. No one that broke. So I had my torch because it was my event. I was like, right, everyone hold hands, don't move. Blah, blah. Turn the torch off, and within seconds you heard this, like a military person walking in, and somehow it got in the circle, and it was walking up to people and stopping in their faces. Wow. And my mate was gobbing off. He was going, "Oh yeah, bollocks to all that." And it went, and it ran to him, and it stopped in his face, and he went, Paul, help." "No, you're on your own, mate." Gobbing off to it. But that was bizarre, Mick. I've never heard footsteps so clear, especially as it sounded like it was walking up the tunnel, and then within a second it was on the inside of the circle, and you're like, oh. And another place was Wimmering Manor. This was my most spookiest experience. Wimmering Manor, I think that's in the Doomsday Book or something like that. It's like 1300 or something stupid like that. Me and my ex-wife at the time, we were in the attic space, and she left. She went, "Oh, I'm getting out of here." And I just sat there, and it's one of those attic spaces where there's a little corner door, and I was sat there in pitch black, and I heard, and I thought, "Oh shit, what's coming out of there?" And I heard, and it was like a little girl ran towards me, stopped in my face, giggled, went, and then I just smelled like kids' piss. Oh, mate, my heart, I was like that.
Wow.
And then it just stopped, and it just sort of disappeared as quick as it happened. It was bizarre, mate. It was absolutely mental. And that's probably my most freakiest thing that's ever out, because kids ghosts. No, don't do kids ghosts.
No. Girls in little dresses, no. White dresses, no, forget that.
But that's what it was. It was like I was just sat on the floor, and I was frozen because I just heard this little door going, and I thought, what? And then pissed. I was like, "Oh no, I can't deal with that no more." I got up, walked out.
Wow, I think I'm gonna have to come down to your way.
Try if you can ever get in Wimmering Manor. Oh my god, you've got to try and get in there, mate. That's really active. It's really good in there. But it's so hard now because it's run by a foundation. They're really like, they have their favourites, who they'll let hire out and stuff.
Yeah, that's common. That. Yeah. So, what does Halloween look like for you? What do you normally get up to?
Usually, I'll be out
Still go trick or
Party.
treating.
I'll piss all my old grannies off next door. All right. No, I just usually I'll go out and I'll try and do something if I can, or if I'm not busy, or if I like to drive around and look at people's decorations and stuff.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? I like doing that.
So yeah, if I haven't got any plans, if there's no sort of parties or any events or anything like that, or if I'm not working per se, I'll go and do that. But what I did see, do you watch How My House is Haunted?
Yeah,
have you ever seen it?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I've seen that.
You see last week's one where they were in Portsmouth?
No.
It was on the Really channel last week. They were in Portsmouth. Not last week, the week before. I recorded it and I thought, I'll watch that and I'll know where the house is. So in my head,
okay,
I'm thinking, obviously they got rid of the ghost, but in my head, I'm thinking I might go and film outside near Halloween and just do a little Halloween special and talk about it, say it was on the show and tell the story behind it. And, another video.
There you go.
It's a Halloween sorted.
Views go whoop. Yeah.
This was on TV last week.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah, that's
you've got to capitalise on anything you can, haven't you?
Of course. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
We're all here for the same reason.
Exactly.
We just do it differently.
Yeah. That's true.
So I've got a couple of questions left for you.
Okay.
Bucket list location that you want to investigate. Anywhere in the world.
Ooh.
Where are we going?
Man. See, now I don't know. I don't know whether it's been. I've seen so many programs on it that it intrigues me. But it's one of two. It's prisons. It's American, of course. It's Eastern State Penitentiary. I'd love to go to.
Yeah.
And Alcatraz. So they're the two that I'm like, oh yeah. But I know they've been done to death. But I would like to still go and investigate.
Experience.
Yeah. Especially Eastern State Penitentiary. I've seen so many programs on that where different groups and shit happens, and I'm like, well, yeah, let's go and experience some of that. Some so-called hardcore stuff. So yeah, I think that I've always had this thing about mental asylums as well, but I can't ever seem to find a really good one that but I'd like to go and investigate a really good one.
I had a good one near me.
Yeah, it's closed now, isn't it?
St. Crispin's. It's been closed for years, but
is it?
There are ways and means of getting in.
Yeah, it's still active, still good in there.
I started going there maybe 15 years after it's shut.
Yeah.
No, nearly 20 years after it's shut. And unfortunately, when it's shut, they basically just left it, closed up and left.
Yeah.
Now, I've only seen pictures from it originally on Google, and even the pictures they put up are like empty corridors, but the corridors had flooring rather than concrete, and the doors were on obviously in the frames, and they were different colours. So for me, that's the earliest I've seen it at St. Crispin's.
Yeah.
Now, when I started going, there was two massive buildings that were 3 floors. Yeah, maybe 5-10 minutes to walk from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Yes, these were massive. 2 of them. There was a burnt out building that had been caught fire 2 or 3 times. That was near the entrance. That was just a shell, so you couldn't get in there. Really, it's nothing in there. Next to that, there was another building that was sort of half and half. There was little rooms still, but a lot of it was just trashed, basically, and burnt out as well. Then there was the admin building, which has 2 floors, and the clock tower, which is listed.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago now, maybe a bit more actually, they knocked basically all the buildings down apart from the clock tower and the admin building. Oh. So at one point, I hadn't been back for, it's got to be 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And then I went back because what I was doing, I was watching YouTube to see if there was any recent videos.
Yeah.
And, people put them up. Oh, there's always exploring videos everywhere. So it's a good place to find them. And I would look for them like for a couple of months old just to see. And a lot of the time they show you how to get in.
Yeah, there you go.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, Easy.
So basically there's two buildings left. They are very active. At the time, they weren't really active when all the other buildings were there. But from my point of view, I think that because the other buildings are not there now, and the land they've had like houses built on them and flats or whatever, they've sort of moved away and they've gone to the other two locations that are still empty, and that no one really goes in because it's trashed basically. And they're so active now.
Wow.
And when it was the other buildings were there, it's the best place I've ever been to. Of all the famous places that I've been to on the telly, all over the UK, 100% the best location. EVPs, voices, things thrown at you, apparitions. I've seen 2 full-blown apparitions right in front of me.
Wow.
It's that active. And, unfortunately, those buildings out there now. But yeah, I just wish I got into ghost hunting earlier.
Yeah.
Because I missed like nearly 20 years of amazingness.
Great stuff there, yeah.
inside that building,
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow.
But yeah, there's only a couple of asylums left. I think there's one in like Lincoln or Norwich way that's quite popular. It's abandoned. I think there's obviously Newsham Park in Liverpool. Well, it's technically like an orphanage, wasn't it? But they called it the asylum. You used to have Leicester Towers, obviously in Leicester. That closed down. I don't think you can go there anymore. And then maybe you got Denbigh Asylum, obviously in Wales, the big famous one. And then I think there's Talgarth Asylum in South Wales. I think that's where it is. But I don't know the accessibility in those. But they, like you say, they are. There is something about an asylum.
Yeah, it's high energy, isn't it?
Oh, whether it's good or bad.
Disturbed minds, everything.
Yeah. So maybe one day we can get to another one.
Yeah, try our best.
Yeah. So my last question: if you could get rid of one thing in the paranormal that you don't like, it's gone forever, what would it be?
The bitchiness.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to be the best, but sometimes they do it to the detriment of other groups, and they shouldn't do that. I think I think people have their own ways. No one's an expert. If anyone was an expert, there would be answers. So everyone's trying to find out the answers all the time. We're all people that are in the paranormal. We're all intrigued, but there's a lot of egos in there. There's a lot of people that are a little bit jumped up, and you're thinking, dude, why just go with the flow, do your thing. I've never been one to criticizing someone else's way of investigating the paranormal, because if that's their way, that's their way. Same as my way's my way. It's just we all we're all looking for the same answers, but we just all have different methods of trying to find it, I suppose, and different ways of recording it. But sadly, it's the same with any industry. You're always going to get a little bit of backstabbing, a little bit of bitchiness,
jealousy.
But if that would be one thing I could take out of it, it would be that, because then I think it would be better. I think if everyone worked, I sound like an old hippie now, but if everyone sort of worked and put all their work together, might finally start getting somewhere.
Yeah, that's good. That's quite a common answer, to be fair. I think that sort of side of the paranormal is definitely one that can clear off. It's not needed.
No,
but yeah. So thank you very much, Paul, for joining me this evening. You've been awesome. Thank you so much.
That's very kind. It's always good fun to talk to you.
It definitely was, mate. Yeah. If you could just let the viewers know where they could get hold of you on your socials, etc.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, obviously, under Unusual Things. On Instagram, Unusual Things 666, and I've got a Facebook group. 666. Surprising. I'll tell you something, right? And on Facebook, just an Unusual Things group on there. When I was born, right, I was born in 1972. I'm old, right? When I was born, on the birth certificates back then, they just printed, like, typewrite your national health number. But they've changed it because they've updated the system now, so obviously it's all done differently. But my original national health number was OCD, which I do have a little bit of. HM, His Majesty. No, that bit's a joke. But then the last numbers at the end was 666, and that is no bullshit. But I cannot find I've got a picture of it somewhere, so I can send it to you in a picture format. But I can't find my original birth certificate. I'm gutted. Because I was like that. Oh my god, who gets 666 on their bloody birth certificate?
It was meant to be.
Yeah, who was taking the piss? So yeah, so that's that bit.
Demon baby.
Yeah, demon boy. Ah.
So yes, thank you, Paul. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And I'll see you in another episode. See you later, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow, guys, there you go. What an awesome guest Paul is. Great bloke. Go check him out. He's very hardworking. Like he said, he travels all over the country. You've probably know some story about someone who's passed. He's guaranteed to have made an episode on it. So go check out your favourite celebrity. Maybe it's something in the news that you've heard about. You know, go follow Paul and find out what he has found. So yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. Your support, like I said at the beginning, is very much appreciated. Please go and subscribe to the channel if you thought this episode was good. Go watch the other videos, like the Instagram page, and I'll see you next week for another awesome guest. See you later.